Gratitude is the doorway into the presence of God, and before we step into anything new, we must first look back and recognize what God has already done. You are not standing here today because life has been easy. You are not breathing because every plan worked out. You are here because God has been faithful, even when you were unsure, even when you were weak, even when you questioned his timing. There were moments last month when you did not know how you would make it, but somehow you did. There were days when your strength was gone, yet you kept moving. That is not luck. That is grace. Take a moment and remember the dangers you never saw. Remember the sickness that could have taken you out, but didn't. Remember the mistakes that should have cost you everything, but were covered by mercy. God has been fighting battles behind the scenes that you never had to face. He has been blocking attacks you never detected. He has been arranging outcomes you never anticipated. When you begin February, you do not begin empty-handed. You begin carrying evidence that God has already proven himself. Gratitude shifts your focus. It moves your eyes off what you lack and places them on what you have survived. It reminds your soul that if God brought you through before, he can bring you through again. When you thank him for yesterday's victories, you strengthen your faith for tomorrow's battles. Gratitude is not pretending everything is perfect. Gratitude is acknowledging that God is present even when things are imperfect. Some people are alive today who should not be. Some people are still standing who were supposed to collapse under the weight of what they went through. Some people still have their minds, their families, their hope, and their future because God intervened. You may not have everything you want, but you have more than you realize. You have breath in your lungs. You have purpose in your spirit. You have a God who has not given up on you. When you start February with gratitude, you change the atmosphere around your life. Complaining attracts heaviness, but thanksgiving attracts the presence of God. Praise invites peace. Thanksgiving opens doors. Gratitude softens your heart so you can hear God clearly. It prepares your spirit to receive what he is about to release. Thank God for the closed doors that saved you. Thank God for the delays that protected you. Thank God for the prayers he answered and the ones he mercifully said no to. Thank God for strength you did not know you had. Thank God for the nights he kept you when nobody else knew you were struggling. Gratitude also reminds you that God's track record is perfect. He has never failed. He has never abandoned his people. He has never broken a promise. Every season you survived is proof that he is able. Every tear you cried and lived through is proof that he is faithful. As you step into February, do not rush past Thanksgiving. Pause long enough to acknowledge the hand of God on your life. Whisper thank you when you wake up. Say thank you when you lie down. Let gratitude become your daily language. Because when you start a month thanking God, you are positioning yourself to witness even greater things ahead. Inviting God to go before you is an act of humility that acknowledges you cannot navigate life successfully on your own. It is a declaration that says, I don't have all the answers, but I know the one who does. Too many people rush into new seasons relying on their own understanding, their own plans, and their own strength. But when you place God in front, you place yourself under divine guidance, divine protection, and divine wisdom. When God goes before you, he enters rooms before you ever step inside them. He touches hearts before you ever speak. He shifts circumstances before you ever see the movement. There are conversations happening in the spiritual realm that you are not aware of, negotiations taking place that your eyes cannot witness, and strategies being arranged that your mind could never design. Asking God to go before you is asking him to arrange outcomes in your favor. You need God to go before you in your home. Let him shape the atmosphere. Let him calm tension. Let him restore peace. Let him heal wounds that have been open for years. When God goes before you and your family, generational patterns begin to break. Cycles of anger, addiction, and division lose their power. Love starts to rise where bitterness once lived. You need God to go before you in your work. Some environments are competitive, some are toxic, some are uncertain, but when God goes before you, favor follows you. Opportunities locate you, doors open that you did not knock on. You are not promoted because of manipulation. You are elevated because of divine appointment. You need God to go before you in your finances. Let him guide your spending. Let him correct your habits. Let him multiply what looks small. When God goes before you, provision meets you in unexpected ways. Resources show up from unexpected places. He teaches you how to steward what you have so you can handle what is coming. You need God to go before you in your health. Some battles are invisible. Some pain is silent. Some diagnoses are frightening. But when God goes before you, he becomes your healer, your strength, and your sustainer. He renews your energy. He restores your body. He gives you peace even while you are still believing for complete healing. Inviting God to go before you also means trusting him with your decisions. It means surrendering control. It means allowing him to redirect you even when his direction does not make sense. Sometimes God blocks a path not to punish you, but to protect you. Sometimes he delays an answer not to frustrate you, but to prepare you. When God goes before you, confusion begins to clear. When God goes before you, fear begins to lose its grip. When God goes before you, obstacles become opportunities. What once looked like a dead end becomes a divine detour. As you step into February, make it your daily prayer, Lord, go before me. Go before my words. Go before my steps. Go before my plans. Go before my relationships. Go before my future. Because when God leads the way, you never walk alone. You never walk unprotected, and you never walk without purpose. Alignment with God's will is not about perfection. It is about surrender. It is the quiet decision to say, Lord, shape my life according to your design, not my own desires. Many times we ask God to bless what we have planned, but true alignment happens when we allow God to interrupt our plans and replace them with his purpose. It requires humility to admit that his ways are higher, his vision is clearer, and his wisdom is deeper than ours. The heart naturally drifts. It is influenced by disappointment, success, temptation, and fear. Without realizing it, our priorities can slowly shift. What once mattered deeply can become neglected. Prayer becomes rushed. Worship becomes routine. Obedience becomes selective. That is why we must regularly ask God to realign our hearts. We need him to recalibrate our desires so that we want what he wants and love what he loves. When God cleanses the heart, he removes the clutter that blocks spiritual growth. Bitterness hardens the heart. Unforgiveness poisons the soul. Pride builds walls between us and God. Hidden sin weakens spiritual sensitivity. Alignment begins with honest repentance. Not the kind that makes excuses, but the kind that says, "Search me, O God, reveal what does not please you. Change me from the inside out." God is not interested in surface level change. He wants transformation. He does not only want modified behavior, he wants a renewed mind. He does not only want religious activity, he wants authentic relationship. When your heart is clean, your hearing becomes sharper. You recognize God's voice more clearly. You discern his direction more quickly. You sense his warnings before you step into danger. Alignment also means releasing attachments that compete with God's authority in your life. Some relationships pull you away from your calling. Some habits drain your spiritual strength. Some ambitions look good on the outside but are empty on the inside. God will often ask you to let go of what is familiar so he can give you what is faithful. Realignment can feel uncomfortable. God may confront attitudes you have defended. He may challenge mindsets you have normalized. He may expose motives you have hidden. But everything he reveals is an invitation to grow. Everything he corrects is an expression of love. When your heart is aligned with God, obedience becomes easier. You no longer obey out of fear, you obey out of trust. You no longer follow God because you feel forced. You follow him because you recognize his goodness. You begin to desire holiness, not because you are trying to impress God, but because you want to honor him. A clean heart creates space for God's presence. A surrendered heart becomes a dwelling place for his spirit. An aligned heart becomes fertile ground for blessings. God is able to entrust more to those whose hearts are properly positioned. As you move into February, make alignment a daily prayer. Ask God to rearrange what is out of order. Ask him to soften what has grown hard. Ask him to revive what has grown cold. Because when your heart is aligned with God's will, your life begins to move in God's direction, and nothing is more powerful than walking in step with his purpose. Declaring February as a month ruled by faith, peace, and clarity is not positive thinking. It is spiritual positioning. It is choosing to speak what you believe God is capable of rather than what circumstances are trying to convince you of. Life will always present reasons to worry, reasons to fear, and reasons to feel overwhelmed. But faith is the decision to trust God even when you cannot trace him. Faith says, I don't see the whole picture, but I know who holds the picture. When you declare faith, you are pushing back against doubt. Doubt whispers that nothing will change. Faith declares that God is still working. Doubt magnifies the problem. Faith magnifies the provider. Doubt looks at what is wrong. Faith looks at who is right. Choosing faith does not mean you ignore reality. It means you refuse to let reality become your final authority. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the presence of God in the middle of trouble. You can have storms around you and still have calm within you. That kind of peace does not come from perfect conditions. It comes from trusting a perfect God When you declare February as a month of peace, you are saying that anxiety will not dominate your thoughts. Worry will not control your decisions. Stress will not steal your sleep. Peace guards your heart. It keeps you from reacting emotionally to everything that happens. It gives you the ability to pause, pray, and respond with wisdom. Peace reminds you that God is in control even when situations feel out of control. It anchors your soul when waves of uncertainty try to pull you under. Clarity is another powerful declaration. Confusion is one of the enemy's favorite tools. Confusion leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to missed opportunities. But when God gives clarity, direction becomes sharper, choices become simpler. You begin to recognize what is for you and what is not for you. Clarity does not always mean you see 10 steps ahead. Sometimes clarity is simply knowing the next right step. God often reveals things progressively. He gives just enough light for today so you learn to trust Him for tomorrow. When you walk with clarity, you stop chasing everything and start pursuing what aligns with God's will. Declaring faith, peace, and clarity also trains your mouth to agree with heaven. Your words shape your atmosphere. When you constantly speak fear, you create an environment of fear. When you constantly speak defeat, you strengthen defeat. But when you speak faith, you release hope. When you speak peace, you invite calm. When you speak clarity, you invite direction. This does not mean you will never feel afraid or uncertain. It means you refuse to stay there. You acknowledge the feeling, but you elevate faith above the feeling. You acknowledge the pressure, but you elevate peace above the pressure. You acknowledge the questions, but you elevate clarity above confusion. As you walk through February, let your declarations become daily habits. Speak faith when you wake up. Speak peace when challenges arise. Speak clarity when decisions must be made. Over time, you will notice a shift. Your mindset will change. Your reactions will change. Your expectations will change. Because when a month is ruled by faith, peace, and clarity, fear loses authority, chaos loses power, and confusion loses its voice. And that kind of spiritual atmosphere makes room for God to move in extraordinary ways. There are people carrying weights that nobody else can see. Smiles hide exhaustion, laughter covers pain. Strong appearances conceal fragile hearts. Life has a way of draining energy slowly, quietly, and consistently. Responsibilities pile up. Disappointments accumulate. Battles repeat. Over time, even the strongest people begin to feel tired in their bodies, tired in their minds, and tired in their spirits. God is not blind to your weariness. He sees the late nights. He sees the silent tears. He sees the moments when you felt like giving up, but kept going anyway. Praying for strength is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of wisdom. It is admitting that human power has limits, but God's power does not. Divine strength is different from natural energy. Natural energy fades. Divine strength renews. Natural energy depends on rest. Divine strength flows from God's presence. When God strengthens you, He does more than help you survive. He empowers you to overcome. Some people need strength to endure difficult relationships. Some need strength to keep believing after repeated disappointment. Some need strength to resist temptation. Some need strength to get out of bed and face another day. God knows exactly what kind of strength each person needs. Healing is another desperate cry of the weary. Healing is not only physical. Many wounds are emotional. Some are mental. Some are spiritual. Words spoken years ago still echo. Betrayals from the past still sting. Losses still ache. God's healing reaches places no medicine can touch. He heals memories. He heals broken hearts. He heals shattered confidence. He heals wounded identity. Breakthrough is the moment when pressure finally lifts. It is the moment when something that was stuck begins to move. Breakthrough does not always happen suddenly, but it always happens purposefully. God uses delay to develop character. He uses waiting to deepen faith. He uses struggle to reveal strength you did not know you possessed. When you pray for breakthrough, you are not demanding a quick fix. You are declaring trust in God's timing. You are saying, Lord, I believe you are working even when I cannot see it. Breakthrough may come as a door opening. It may come as a mindset shifting. It may come as a relationship healing. It may come as peace replacing anxiety. Strength, healing, and breakthrough are connected. Strength helps you endure. Healing restores what was damaged. Breakthrough moves you forward. Together, they represent God's comprehensive care for his people. God does not waste pain. Every tear has purpose. Every trial carries a lesson. Every setback holds the seed of a comeback. The same God who allowed the struggle is the God who will use the struggle for your good. If you are weary, you are not forgotten. If you are hurting, you are not abandoned. If you are waiting, you are not ignored. God's hand is still on your life. His plan is still unfolding. His promises are still true. As February unfolds, allow yourself to receive from God. Stop trying to be strong alone. Stop pretending you are okay when you are not. Bring your weakness to God. Bring your pain to God. Bring your exhaustion to God. Because when God touches the weary, strength rises. When God touches the broken, healing flows. When God touches impossible situations, breakthrough begins.